This is a real story about Holly Gardner when she was 19. She was driving home after a fun game convention when her car suddenly stopped working. She had to stay at a motel. That's when something strange happened that scared her. Since then, she's been very careful and doesn't like driving alone on long trips. So let's start the story. The story starts with Holly Gardner, who's 21 years old now, talking about a weird experience she had when she was 19. Back then, she went on a long drive by herself for 12 hours to a gaming convention and had a blast. When she got back into her dad's car to head home, she saw there was a lot of traffic. So, she decided to take a different, longer way home. Holly was driving for a while and needed to refuel because her car was running out of gas. She stopped at the nearest gas station. While talking to the cashier, he mentioned a local story about people disappearing on a nearby bridge. There was a myth about monsters in Norwood Valley that supposedly captured people and hung them upside down on trees. Holly was tired and just wanted to go home, so she didn't pay much attention to the strange story. She tried to get back to her car, but something happened just as she was leaving the gas station. The cashier tells her not to pick up a lady wearing a white or blue dress if she sees her asking for a ride. They say the lady might be a ghost who died in a car crash during prom night. Some people even say she went through something terrible, like being hurt and killed. The person at the store warned Holly not to pick up hitchhikers because they can be dangerous. Holly felt really scared by this and hurried back to her car. She drove as fast as she could to get home quickly. As she drove over the bridge for some time, weird stuff began happening with the radio. It started sounding weird and broken. She got really scared, thinking something strange might be going on. She remembered some spooky stories she heard from the cashier earlier. Suddenly, she saw two big logs blocking the road ahead, and there was a car parked not too far away on the side of the road in the middle of the night. Holly stops her car to check some logs blocking the road. She thinks someone might have put them there on purpose. With a rush of energy from adrenaline, she uses all her strength to move the logs. She hurries back into her car but finds it won't start. The radio makes strange sounds, adding to the weird situation. She couldn't use her phone because there was no signal. She had to hitchhike by sticking her thumb out to ask for a ride. After waiting for a while, she saw a car and tried to signal it, but the car drove away. Someone had warned her that hitchhiking could be risky, but she didn't fully understand the dangers. She thought the driver who didn't stop was bad and mean. She kept waiting, and after about 20 more minutes, a pickup truck stopped and gave her a ride. The person driving the car at the Norwood gas station is actually a customer there. Holly, who was filling her tank, is noticed by someone at the station who seems to know her. This person, who turns out to be a stranger, offers to drive Holly and her things, including duck food she bought for her mom's dog Milo, in his car because he says he's in a hurry. He introduces himself as Jason and calls Holly brave, which puzzles her because she doesn't understand why he'd say that. He keeps saying the cashier is imagining things, believing in myths. He heard Holly talking to the cashier and then started talking mysteriously about some people or creatures who might have made Holly's car break down. He said as long as she leaves them alone, they won't bother her. After chatting a bit and driving for a few hours, Jason leaves Holly at a nearby motel that also fixes roads. The person at the front desk tells Sully not to wake the other people staying there because they might get upset. They promise Holly that someone from the hotel will help fix her car in the morning. Holly heads to her room, but she gets a surprise when she finds Tommy in the bathroom and gets scared. Holly's friend Tommy tells her to wait outside while he gets her room ready. After a while, Tommy finishes and Holly lies down on the bed to relax. As she starts to feel sleepy, she notices a stranger looking at her through the window. This makes her feel really scared, so she quickly gets up from the bed. She's feeling anxious and tired, but decides to leave the room to get a coffee from the machine. Suddenly, she starts feeling dizzy and sick. She ran fast to her room. Then, she fainted. When she woke up a few hours later, she realized someone had given her medicine to make her sleep. She heard strange, scary noises coming from her room. Suddenly, there were loud knocks on her door that scared her. Joe, the person at the front desk, tells Holly that there have been loud, weird sounds coming from her room. This surprises Holly because she was unconscious and didn't make any noise. Joe sees that Holly's eyes are red and she says someone messed with the coffee machine. Joe doesn't understand because their place doesn't have a coffee machine. He goes with Holly to see what she's talking about. When Joe couldn't find a coffee machine around, they began to act strangely. They felt like they needed to rush back to their room to get some medicine for how they were feeling. Joe seemed to suspect that something might be wrong with the coffee machine, thinking maybe someone messed with it to drug the guests. After spending some time in the room, Holly started to feel drowsy and heard a soft voice trying to get her attention. He went up to the door and knocked. He asked Holly for help, but Holly wanted to know who he was. He didn't want to answer and kept asking Holly to open the door. Holly felt really scared of the person outside and was told he just needed help and wasn't a policeman. Then Holly told the person to leave or she'd call the police. The person got angry and started kicking the door really hard. Holly got so scared that she ran to hide in the closet. Guy breaks the door fast and checks the room for Holly. He looks in the bathroom, but then Joe, who works at the front desk, hurries in and surprises the guy by knocking him out. Joe doesn't tell Holly much and tells her not to call the police. She starts thinking the guy might be part of a bad group like a drug gang or a strange club in the area. Joe heard weird noises earlier, thinking it might have been Holly, but they actually came from the guy hiding in the closet. Luckily, Joe found Holly just in time. Lots of strange things happened when Holly's door was knocked on. The road was blocked with logs, her car stopped working, and even the coffee machine had something in it that made people feel weird. Jason was talking in a mysterious way about some secret group of people. He hinted that they didn't want to be bothered, and others knew about them too. Joe acted odd when Holly mentioned the strange coffee. All this makes it seem like everyone knew about this secret group, maybe a cult, but they were scared to talk about it in case they got in trouble or made things worse for their town. They didn't say what the cult can do or how they treat the people they kidnap. Some stories think they're like monsters who hang victims on trees upside down. People think those victims might have been found that way before, hinting the cult might do these scary rituals.